Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides, and I am back with my lovely wife, Lori. Lori, say hello to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
We're in her Ford Focus ST, and this is her time now where she's going to tell you a little bit about what she loves about driving the Ford Focus ST. How did things feel? And what are some of the things? We're not trying to be one-sided. I know many of you that are my subscribers that have been watching for the last few months that I've put the channel together. You know that I'm very unbiased, and so is my wife. We're both trying to look at the big picture and take the good and the bad and talk about the good and the bad, because there is no perfect car out there where everything is just great and there's not something you would like to have changed. So I think where we're going to start off the questioning for my wife is, what do you feel about the driving position in the ST, Lori?
Well, I like, how the seat holds me in. I love the feel of the wheel. I love how it sort of grips right here, how your hands just naturally rest.
Yeah, right on that 10 and 2 clock position.
Well, and what's funny is in driving other cars, I feel like a lot of the time, naturally, I want to just have one hand on the wheel. But in this car, I think because it's so comfortable to grip it at the 10 and 2, that I find that, when I'm not obviously shifting, this is my natural, which is a safer way to drive.
Definitely. And I think the way that the seat is positioned in the car, it allows you to have that where it just feels comfortable.
Yeah, it just feels comfortable.
The nice bend in your elbow and whatnot. Because remember, you don't want to be in a car straight arming it. You want to have some bend, because that's what allows you to turn, especially if something did pop up in the road and you had to make an evasive maneuver.
Absolutely. And I've heard you mention before, Joe, that you like a thicker steering wheel.
I do.
I love the thickness of the steering wheel. I think it's perfect. And I like the material that Ford used on the steering wheel. Again, it's very comfortable.
Yeah,
so.
compared to our old Subaru products, my wife had a Subaru Crosstrek. I actually like the leather material that they use on the steering wheel compared to the Subarus. It feels a little bit, I want to say, better quality.
Yeah, and I know before I had the Crosstrek, I had a Nissan Altima, and I feel like that was really thin leather.
Yeah, that was terrible. That was terrible. Yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah.
We won't talk about that. But definitely the seating position is definitely great in the car. What do you feel about the throttle response? Like when you step on that gas pedal, do you like the power delivery? Is it too abrasive? Do you have to wait for it to come in?
No, not at all. It comes in really nicely, and for me, one of the things that is funny is sometimes I forget I'm in a performance car, and then I realize I'm stuck behind somebody, but I see an opportunity to move, and I just press on the gas. I'm even in the gear that I'm in, I don't have to downshift.
Yeah.
I just press on the gas, and the car responds, and I love that. But I really feel it responsive to me when I get into that second and third gear, and then after that I get a little gun shy.
Yeah,
I don't want to get arrested.
Yeah, we try to stay away from getting tickets and whatnot.
Shit, I'm going fast.
Yeah. And there have been times, I think one of the most fun things for me, sharing my passion of cars with my wife and her catching that bug, is there are times when people will pull up next to us and they might be in a GTI or another ST or something like that and want to race us. And at first she wasn't aware of, why is this person riding right next to me?
Yeah.
And I'm like, babe, they want to race you. That's what's going on. And that's something that, driving a Crosstrek or a Nissan Altima, you didn't experience that before.
So it's a new experience. But I like the comfort. I love the lumbar that I have here. I feel snug, but I don't feel claustrophobic. And that was something that I was worried about, because I do get claustrophobic. I don't like to feel closed in and trapped. I want to be able to move. I'm one of those people that when I book my airline flights, I have to be on the aisle seat, because I want to make sure that if there's, I happen to like the window, I can get up
so
and
it works out
around.
perfect. Yes,
it does. I don't know where I'm going to go. I'm going to run up and down the aisles, but at least I can move. So that was something that was important to me, is making sure that I felt comfortable enough to move, because this is a small car, and all of these cars that are in this class are relatively small as well.
So when it comes to the clutch, do you feel like because I know my wife drives a lot on this terrible road in Central Florida called US Highway 19. It's like, I think it was voted like one of the most worst highways in the whole country, just because it's not really a highway, because there's a lot of stores along the side of the road, and you have some people doing 45, some people doing 60, so it's very stressful. And on her commute, all the traffic is going her direction, so there's a lot of stop and go. So what do you feel with that clutch? Is it too heavy, the pedal? Is it just right?
No, I like the clutch. I do feel that it's, and forgive me if I don't use the right words, guys, but I feel like it's not springy, but it's not loose and it's not too tight. Like, it's something where I can feel pushing in, and it's very forgiving. Okay, so I learned how to drive a manual transmission on a Pontiac Le Mans, which no one probably even knows what that is.
There might be some.
In 19 something or other.
I won't say the year.
And I was probably not very good at it because the gears grinded a lot. And my next car was a Honda Civic, and I also didn't do a great job there either. I've had this car for 8 months, and I don't think I've had a problem with the gears grinding ever. And so I don't know if it's just because technology has improved, or maybe I'm just that much better. It's probably both. Yeah. Because I'm much more aware now than I was, when I was 16 years old. But I think it's very forgiving. I think it's very responsive as well, and it's not hard for me at all to move. To
modulate.
Yeah. Is that?
Yeah. Modulate. Yes.
It's not hard for me to modulate.
Yes.
At all, because that was in test driving, other cars. That's something that's a challenge if you're, and I don't want, the passenger to be herky jerky.
Yeah, you don't want to get a neck snapper.
And I don't know how to heel toe downshift, although that sounds really exciting, and I want to learn how to do that. And and some of these other things that Joe does, I don't know. He does some pretty cool stuff.
We're gonna work on those things. I promise.
Well, I'm excited to go to the Octane.
Yeah, we're going. Yeah, in July we're going to the ST Academy out in Utah, Miller Motorsports Park. And what's awesome is the way that we planned it. I'm going to be able to do the ST Academy with her, and then we're also doing the RS Academy. Since I bought a Ford Focus RS, you get the same type of deal where you get to drive on the course with specially prepared RSs, which she'll be able to partake in it as well. So it wound up being absolutely perfect. Yeah. And that was one thing, when I first met my wife, I immediately fell in love. When she told me that she could drive a car that was a stick shift, I was like, yes, I knew I found a keeper. And the day that we went and test drove a Subaru WRX back in 2015, I was blown away. The way she drove, it was amazing. It was like as if she had been driving a stick shift every day for her whole life, and she did such a wonderful job. And she drives this car brilliantly, especially when we are getting going a little quicker on some twisty roads and whatnot. But
well, Joe, I didn't have to learn how to drive a stick shift. They had plenty of automatic cars when I was a kid, and in fact, my father, suggested an automatic car, but there was something in me that was adamant about learning how to drive a manual transmission, and it was really, really important to me to know how to do that. Exactly. I felt like if I didn't know how to do that I would be somehow at a disadvantage. Yeah. And so not only is that the case, because you are at a disadvantage if you don't know how to drive a manual transmission, but I think that as I've gotten older, what I realize is that things become more and more automated, and this is what's happening to cars. And so the love of driving is becoming lost for a lot of people. And this is what I found happening to me, is that I was just another person, another metal box, and another metal box on the road in the same direction, and it was so boring. And driving a manual transmission has changed that. So when I'm in rush hour traffic, one of the things that I've noticed, because people at work have asked me this too, because we all drive on the same highway, and they're, I could never do that, driving a manual transmission. That sounds horrible. But what it has done is it's connected me to my experience. So you know how people talk about living in the present moment and all that stuff? Driving a manual transmission does that for you. Yeah, you have to be paying attention. You're paying attention, and when you're paying attention, you are actually enjoying your experience. Because if you're not paying attention,
And safer.
Right. If you're not paying attention, you wish you were somewhere else, and then you're having a miserable time.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's made me enjoy my experience of being in the present moment a lot more, and then I get to have fun with the car. So I'm in the car, I'm driving the car. Yes, I'm having to slow down and move through traffic, but I have honestly found that it has not been an issue having a manual transmission.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I do have to have driving shoes.
Yes.
Because I know you guys don't have to worry about this very much, but women wear heels. So that has been one big change.
Yeah.
But ladies, the great thing about this is that you're saving your heels because you're not going to risk
Scuff
it and
them
wear
all
them in
up,
the,
yeah,
because
get
I
them
was
all-
wearing them in the automat. You can't do that. So just tip for the ladies.
Now, how do you feel about the layout of the controls? Do you feel like you're a little cramped? Do you feel like things are reachable?
So I love the layout of the car. However, if I was gonna, well, first of all, let me talk about the shift knob here. I love the way this feels, this carbon fiber shift knob.
Yeah,
I think it feels amazing. And
you like the throws? Do you like the throws of the shifter?
I was hoping that you would ask me that because I didn't know what they were. It's like, how do you call this? It's like a new language.
Yeah.
I love the way the shifts feel. I feel like they're short.
Okay.
But I don't have a problem finding the gear.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, because when you're in traffic and you do have to downshift quite a bit, you're going to be moving through the gears quite a bit.
Yeah.
And so I found that it's not a problem at all. The only gear that is more of a challenge for me to find is 6th gear.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say that's probably because I forget about it.
Yeah.
I'm used to a 5.
I know, yeah, you 5 speeds, that's what we learned on.
Right. And that's probably the biggest one is that I just forget about it. And then also it's down, you know, and so I'm not used to.
Yeah, you keep it in that 5th and you're like, oh, hey, I got one more.
Well, the cool thing that this car does is that it will, right here underneath the
Speedometer.
Thank you. It will tell you what gear is next and then show you. Like,
Yeah, to tell you to shift, and that's a nice feature that I like on the ST. It's almost like a shift indicator. It's actually telling you to shift for better fuel economy, but it's nice because it actually indicates, well, what gear you need to be going into, which is a nice touch.
If I were to change anything here, the air conditioning is all right here, and these are buttons that you push in. Every once in a while, if I'm moving kind of quickly, my hand will hit.
And if you have a finger sticking out or something, and that's the problem. Is right here is dual. What's nice is it's a dual climate air conditioning system. So you know, I could have it one temperature, she could have it one temperature. But the problem is where these buttons are. When you go into maybe 3rd or 5th, sometimes your knuckle or your finger, depending on how your hand is placed on the shift knob, might hit one of the buttons. So that's probably the biggest gripe when it comes to where the shifter is.
Yeah, but I love the gauges. I love how I can see everything.
It's got the digital speedometer in the center.
I love the digital speedometer, but you know, I love that it's over here, the analog as well. And then what is that, the rev?
The tachometer. Yes, definitely important in a stick shift car.
that gadget's good. I like it. And then these up here, those are cool.
Yeah, and it's cool because, you know, she's learning that there's more gauges that you should be paying attention to besides just the speedometer and the fuel gauge. What's cool about the STs and the Ford Focus RSs is that they come with a gauge cluster on the top of the dash where you're going to get your oil pressure, you're going to get your boost pressure, and you're going to get your oil temp, which those are all very good indicators of what's going on underneath the hood. So that's another thing that she's being able to learn, is that there's more to it than just the standard run-of-the-mill gauges, which is nice.
I pay attention to those more. You know, I never paid attention to them, but because of the way they're positioned, it draws my eye, and I'm looking at the oil temperature and the oil pressure more, and asking you more questions about it, and you know, the service department when we get the oil change too, just so I can understand, which I think is really important that you understand what all these gauges mean.
Now, I know probably another gripe that you have is you feel it's a little tight.
I like small cars because I like to be able to maneuver.
Yeah.
But I do feel like this one is a little tight. The way the dash comes forward is pretty tight. So I think, you know, if I were to change anything, or if you were super claustrophobic, that could be a deal breaker for you. But overall, like I said, I don't like to feel trapped, and I don't feel trapped.
It's not too much. I mean,
but if it were any more, I probably wouldn't like it.
The problem is that, you know, I had a 2015 Subaru WRX STI. In a WRX or a WRX STI, the way the dash is positioned, there is much more room. Or even like my Honda Civic Type R, there is much more room. I personally kind of like it because you feel like you're more encapsulated in.
Well, it's because you're a race car driver.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I used to race cars. Yes, that's true. But it is. If it was just a little further out, it would be too much. And stay tuned, because in 2019, Ford is coming out with a redesigned Ford Focus. They're going to start with the standard Focus, and then eventually, probably for 2020, introduce a new ST, and hopefully in another year after that or so, a new RS. And I'm sure that that's something that you're going to see different on the car, because remember, even though this car's a 2017, the basic layout of the interior has been around since like 2009. So so it's been around for, but it's funny how you say that, because it's funny how you say that, because you don't feel like you're in an interior that's been around since 2009. It's that well placed. And I think one of the best things that I love, and I know that Lori loves, is how the navigation is placed and how easy it is to use.
I love the Apple CarPlay, and if you're not using Apple CarPlay, just the navigation that Ford has.
Yeah, the My Connect is just
absolutely love it. It makes me a safer driver, which I also want to address the the nimbleness of the car. So one of the things that I was concerned about is going from a four-wheel drive cross-track, which is very easy to handle, in my opinion,
in the rain really and everything else,
and I felt very secure, back to a two-wheel drive car. And I was a little hesitant about that, and this car handles really, really well. It's very tight. I feel very safe in it, and I want to
very nimble. The steering is very quick.
Yeah, I don't feel like I drive it any differently. I would say, in a way, I park in a parking garage every day. It's easier for me to park the car.
Yeah.
It parks really, really easily, and I love that. And so I love the size. So that's something that's important to me. I don't want a big, giant beast of a car, because to me, that's just, I don't want the extra pressure of having to
trying to fit it somewhere.
Yeah. But so I love how the car handles. It's very nimble. The mirrors. One of the other things about this car that's different for me was they have this additional little sort of in the top left quadrant.
It's a convex mirror to allow you to see further into the other lane.
And at first I did not like it.
It was weird.
Because I didn't know how to use it. And then now that time has gone by, I actually am really grateful to have it, because it's allowing me to see better than I was without it. So it's cool, because you can kind of see back around the car a little bit.
It's a really good angle that allows you to see what is happening in the blind spot.
One of the other things that I'm not particularly in love with is the vents, but here's the thing. I think all cars the Subaru has this type of vent. It's the vertical vents
vertical
rather than the horizontal vents. I just, I'm not used to positioning them. I like the old style.
You can't get it exactly the way you want.
Whatever. But it's fine. I like where the armrest is. I love the cushion here on it. I love this armrest.
Yeah, I think the center console, this is something that a lot of manufacturers need to look at, especially Subaru, because I know in my WRX STI, where they have the center console lid is so low that you're actually, if you want to use it, you got to drive like this.
Yeah.
This is perfectly positioned, and that's one thing that I definitely like, and I know you love.
Yeah.
It's very comfortable.
I like the headroom in the car is perfect for me. I love the sunroof and so everything is really well placed for me. Except for the when I hit the buttons here, I do wish the mirror maybe had like the garage.
Yeah. So basically, in the Ford products, they don't have auto dimming mirror with the home link buttons and buttons where you could program a garage door opener. It's just your standard mirror. So that is something, if we're going to gripe about something, I think that's something that's important to you. You wish it had that auto dimming mirror with the buttons to open up your garage, and instead of having a separate button for that,
But I mean, I love how it handles. I just have so much fun driving this car, and everything, it feels like everything is exactly where I want it to be. And
for the most part, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I like the feel of everything as well. And that was something that I will be honest, I was a little hesitant to even look at Ford, because in my mind, I had a stereotype of Ford being a mass producing, and then therefore, because it's so big, it's cheap. And so I remember even looking at Fords at some car shows in the past and thinking, no, I don't like the touches and the feel of it. But I really think there's something to be said for doing a test drive.
Yeah.
And when you get behind the wheel and you're actually driving the way you would, it's different.
Definitely.
And I think that that's really the bottom line. You can look at cars and pictures. You can even sit in them at car shows and events. But until you're actually driving the vehicle, then you're not going to know if it's the right vehicle.
Exactly. And on that point, we have almost 8,000 miles on this car. Haven't had one glitch of an issue.
No, it's been,
knock on wood, obviously, but
yeah, it's been really reliable, and I like that. I did have some problems with my cross-track. The air conditioning went out, and the
that was a real pain. That was a real pain.
Yeah, when you have curly hair and you live in South Florida, it's extremely painful.
And no AC.
To have no AC.
Yeah, that was not a pleasant time.
It's bad. It's a nightmare, and it was very unpleasant for the whole family. And so
yeah,
I'm glad that that's in the past.
Yes.
And not to say that that's going to happen with every car.
It just happened with that particular one. And it could happen with this one. It could happen with any car.
Right.
But that was just something that made us say, hey, why don't we see some other brands and see what's available and all that good stuff.
Oh, that was one of the many things that kind of added up for me going, all right, I'm done not having any fun.
Yeah, she wanted to have fun.
And this car really is a lot of fun to drive. It's fun to pull up next to another ST at a light, and we're both going the same direction, and we get on it. It's just fun. It's just fun to, have that sort of camaraderie, and other people get it, and and you can just out accelerate the jerks that are flipping you off. When it's like, it says merge.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want me to do? Drive into the grass? And they get mad at you. It's just ridiculous.
So, I think at the end of the day, there's more pluses than negatives.
Yeah, I love it. I'm going to keep it.
We're not saying it's perfect. There are some things that we pointed out that she's not in love with, and some things that I'm not in love with.
The other thing, as much as I love the seats, with the Recaros, they come up on the sides pretty high. Sometimes if I want to move my leg a little bit, it can kind of push on my leg. And when I'm in the passenger seat, I like to sit with my legs crossed. You can't really do that in a race car.
Yeah, the Recaro seats are.
So I think that's one of those have your cake and eat it too. Like, you're not going to be able to have both.
No.
So.
But that's good that you brought that up.
Yeah.
And but that's I think overall where we're at with the car. We'll do some more reviews with my wife as we continue our journey. I know she's maybe thinking about looking at some cars that maybe have a V8 underneath the hood, right?
I love the sound of a V8.
Possibly.
I'm also thinking about, in keeping this car, possibly getting a new exhaust. So.
Yes, that's another thing. We're thinking about modding this car. She heard an ST the other day that had a nice exhaust on it, so we're doing some research on that. So you definitely want to stay tuned. If this is the type of stuff that you like to see, you want to see more discussion with my wife Lori and I, talking about cars, talking about the ST, our interest in cars and all that, leave a comment in that comment section. If you have not hit that subscribe button, my question is, what are you waiting for? Do it now. Hit the subscribe button. Visit my website, raitiesrides.com. You can see a little bit of my past with my racing history, some special pictures and whatnot. You can leave me a message right there on the website that gets directly sent to me, or leave a comment in the comment section of this video. You want to check out my other playlist. There's tons of great videos and footage of all different events, racing events, different cars. Check out my Instagram page, Raities Rides. That's going to have all original photo content. And like always, guys, we'll see you on the next ride.